You are probably using Claude like any other chatbot, asking questions, getting answers. But what if I told you there's a completely different way to interact with Claude that turns it from a conversational AI into an actual software agent? Today, I am revealing Claude's function calling system, the secret behind every powerful Claude integration you have seen. Think you know Claude? You are missing its secret superpower. Stop picturing function calling as a simple toggle in your code. What we have is far more profound, a complete language that allows Claude to negotiate with your systems, to request exactly what it needs from them. This is how a static chat interface transforms into a dynamic agent capable of taking real-world action. Let's break that down. What this means is you are building a bridge between conversation and execution. Claude analyzes your request, decides which external tool can fulfill it, and precisely structures the call for you. The key insight is that Claude becomes a conductor. It doesn't play the instruments, but it expertly orchestrates them. But it is a conductor with perfect memory and flawless logic. It interprets your intent, selects the precise tool, and crafts an infallible instruction set for it to follow. The system is not just passing messages, it is translating human goals into executable, machine-readable code on the fly. Think of it as a relentless pursuit of precision. The system analyzes every nuance of your request, then commits to a single, optimal path forward. There is no hedging. Each function call represents the AI's absolute conviction about what you need and the exact action required to fulfill it. You think AI is just chat. The hidden system changes everything. Now, let's get specific. That JSON schema is your contract. It defines exactly what data your external tool requires, field names, data types, even validation rules. The AI uses this blueprint to structure its output perfectly for your API. Without it, you are just sending messy text. With it, you have a precise, automated handshake. But how does Claude know when to use that contract? It's analyzing your words in real time. The key insight is that Claude is constantly scanning your request, looking for triggers that match a function's purpose. When it sees a clear match between your intent and a tool's capability, that's the precise moment it decides to execute the call. This switch is the core mechanic. You are no longer getting a conversational reply, you are receiving a precise, machine-readable data packet. This structured JSON output is what allows your application to seamlessly take Claude's understanding and translate it into a concrete action with your external systems. You design the toolkit. Claude only sees the tools you provide and can only request actions you've explicitly allowed. This isn't a suggestion, it is a security boundary. The function definitions are the blueprint, giving you absolute authority over the system's capabilities and the scope of its execution. Think you know Claude? You are missing its true operating system. But how does this translate to practical power? Let's get concrete. Imagine you are building a weather assistant. The user's simple question, "Is it raining in Tokyo?" does not just trigger a text reply. It secretly activates Claude's function call to fetch live data from a weather API. Your app becomes alive, connected, and instantly useful. That single sentence becomes an intelligent command. The pattern is clear, natural language is now your universal control layer. What this means is you can transform, book a flight, or order dinner into precise API calls. Your application begins to understand intent, not just words, creating seamless, automated interactions out of thin air. But here's the bigger picture. That conversational request doesn't just run a query. It intelligently parses filters, category, and price, crafting a perfect API call. You are no longer building complex search forms. You are enabling a fluid, intelligent dialogue where intent translates directly into backend action. The key insight: every spoken wish can become a structured command. But let's think bigger than databases. Consider this: a user simply says, "Book me a flight to Tokyo next Thursday." The function call translates that natural language into a precise search with airlines, parsing dates and destinations from casual speech. The system isn't just querying data, it is orchestrating real-world actions through pure conversation. Claude's secret isn't its intellect, it is this deceptively simple system. So you are giving Claude new capabilities. The schema is its instruction manual. Be surgical here. Define the exact parameters, their types, and crystal clear descriptions. This precision is what allows Claude to reason about when and how to use your tool, turning a simple request into a direct API command. So Claude has the instruction manual. Now you give it the toolbox. This happens right in the conversation. You list your available functions, their precise schemas, directly in the system or user message. That list is Claude's immediate menu of new capabilities. It sees those tools and can now reason about which one, if any, fits your request. Now you've sent your request. The entire interaction hinges on this next moment. Claude's reply will reveal its reasoning. It either has enough information to answer directly, or, and this is the magic, it will formally request a specific tool from your menu. That structured request is your green light to execute an external action. This is where your program truly comes alive. The structured request from Claude arrives. Your code now executes that specific function using real-world data. You capture the output. That concrete result, not raw code, is what you return. This closes the loop. Claude takes that result and weaves it directly into its final, human-readable answer for the user. But here's what everyone overlooks: that's not the final step. The result you return isn't just data. It is fuel for the next thought. This output allows Claude to pivot, ask a deeper question, or challenge its own premise. You haven't just answered a query, you have fundamentally redirected the intelligence of the entire conversation. Claude's secret isn't intelligence, it is this silent, overlooked feature. Here's the real power move: chaining. The output from one function, maybe a weather lookup, feeds directly as the input to the next, like a planning algorithm. This creates a single, seamless workflow from multiple tools. Instead of managing separate calls, you orchestrate an entire sequence. The system handles the handoffs automatically. Conditional execution is your precision switch. What this means is the system only reveals the tools a user is authorized to see or that are relevant right now. The pattern clearly indicates a shift from a static menu to a dynamic, context-aware interface. Here's what's really happening: you are building adaptive, secure workflows that respond intelligently to the moment. Now, let's harden that workflow. The key insight is that APIs fail, and your code must handle it gracefully. What this means is you'll teach Claude specific recovery logic, like retry strategies or fallback procedures. The pattern clearly indicates you are building resilient systems, not brittle prototypes. You are engineering for the real world, where errors are a feature, not a bug. But what comes after error handling? Orchestration. Here's what's really happening. You are designing an autonomous agent. You give Claude a high-level objective, and it plans the entire sequence, which function to call first, how to parse that result to decide the next step. The pattern clearly indicates a shift from giving commands to delegating entire processes. You are building a thinking partner. Think Claude's secret is its chat. You have got it backward entirely. Your descriptions must be crystal clear. Claude isn't guessing, it's executing. A vague description like get user data is useless. Does that mean fetch their profile or their purchase history? The key insight is you must be surgically precise. Specify the exact data fields and the precise conditions for the call, or the function simply will not trigger correctly. The system is now generating valid JSO, which feels like victory. But here's the trap, you must treat it as untested data. A single misplaced comma or an unexpected null value can crash your entire workflow. What this means is you need a validation layer that acts as a final checkpoint before any external call is made. So you have validated the JSO structure. The critical error is that the API's actual response, its raw data, must be fed back into the next message to Claude. The system's reasoning depends on this continuity. Omitting it breaks the logical chain, leaving the AI operating on stale or incomplete information, which guarantees a failed sequence. Here's the next critical pitfall. Overloading Claude with every possible function upfront overwhelms its reasoning. It cannot effectively choose a clear path forward. Instead, carefully curate the available actions for each specific conversational context. This focus is what enables precise and reliable tool use, guiding the model to the correct outcome. Here's a silent killer. Your meticulously crafted tool list is perfect until you realize each function description consumes tokens, your most precious resource. What this means is that without monitoring the cumulative total, Claude's context window fills with schema details instead of your actual conversation. That's how a robust system suddenly fails to operate. You think Claude's just another chatbot? You are missing its secret weapon. This transforms Claude from a simple assistant into an orchestration engine. The key insight is its ability to chain tools, retrieving data from one source, feeding it into another, and synthesizing the final result seamlessly. What this means is you are not just making calls, you are automating entire workflows within a single, coherent conversation. Think of this like a kitchen where you cannot start baking until the oven is preheated. Claude recognizes these prerequisite steps automatically. It understands that certain tools must run in sequence to build towards your ultimate goal, handling the complex coordination for you. This moves beyond simple commands. Claude learns to assess the situation and decide, should it reach for an external tool or provide its own direct reasoning? This is the shift from executing orders to making strategic decisions. You are teaching it discernment, when to act autonomously, and when to leverage the entire ecosystem at its disposal. Now, imagine handing Claude an API manual it has never seen. This isn't just following instructions. The key insight is it can now synthesize that documentation, understand the tool's purpose, and apply its logic to a novel problem. You are not just connecting tools, you are granting contextual intelligence, the ability to independently learn and integrate entirely new systems. Function calling transforms Claude from chatbot to software agent. Success depends on clear function definitions and proper result handling. Start simple with one function, then build complex workflows. Try implementing one function call with a simple API this week.